Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Chart Request Live. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time right here on Stock Market TV. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Patrick Dunawilla. How are you, Pat?
Stevie, how we doing?
Good, man. I feel like we haven't done this in a while.
I know, but I'm happy to be back. So what are you watching this week? Obviously, commodities, energy getting a lot of attention here. So what do you got your eyes on?
Commodities. I was gonna say,
Commodities,
I was
the
gonna say
hard to the
energy,
softs.
but it's really so. This is crude oil. Been looking good. Work to do, right? But it's not just energy. Energy's been looking good for a while, catching that kind of rotation um, that so many groups want right now as money moves out of like large cap tech and mega cap growth. Here's the Spider Materials ETF XLB. We just got new all-time highs on a weekly closing basis last
Yeah.
week. So I think it's bigger than just energy. It's a whole commodity stock, commodities theme.
Yeah, and also on a relative basis, it's doing this nice little hook. Looking like it's a little fail breakdown here. Yeah,
So
you got that weird candle from 2020 there, but
So this is XLB SPY, and it's a scooping and it's a scoring.
it sure is.
All right, what do we got?
All right, you ready to dive right into it?
Why not?
All right, let's kick it off with the mailbag. We got Josh asking about Viper Energy. That's VNOM. Might be an interesting play. Would love to hear what you guys think on it. So
I was
no
just
time frame, but
I listen, love it. The show's so fun. I was literally just looking at this one. So I know exactly how I want to mark it up. I'm going to draw right through these 2018 highs.
I like it.
That's a oops. Back in the box. This is just a massive base.
So Steve, how do you treat those oops though? Because I mean, there's still, you got to imagine there's supply at that level, right?
Yeah, just not as much. Less than the amount of supply here at this level, right, that I really care more about.
I see.
I'm not going to draw a line at every logical overhead supply zone, right?
Every little hurdle, yeah.
I'm going to draw a line at the most important one. And the reason we like what we call clean charts, right? This chart outside of this little fail is really clean at this, 34, 35 level. The reason we say, ooh, what a clean chart, I really like that, is because that's a major polarity zone. By
Yeah,
clean, we mean, oh, it's been tested pretty precisely over and over and over and over again. That tells us, okay, when we get back there and get through there, we'll get a nice reaction. I want to trade this,
right,
right? So
right.
this is one of those, and it's getting it done right now. So this is the structural look. Love it. Pat, like you said, oh, there's got to be supply there. Use it as a target. Use it as a target then. 44.50. Let's just check out the candles real quick. I think you can ignore this one. The March 5th candle.
Yeah, weird candle.
I think you can
It
mark
looks
that
like an
down.
earnings candle.
Yeah, and your stop, I think you can keep it tight and use these highs from last year, 35, 75, 36. Or if you want it a little bit looser, use the pivot lows here from just last week or the week before.
I like it. I like it. So let's move on to Powell, Powell, Powell
This
Industries.
this one's always trending when there's a FOMC event.
I was gonna say,
So Powell Industries, it's some sort of industrial, right?
hey, it's doing well though.
Check this out. Love this.
And you're in a daily too. Wow. That's a breakaway.
Nice, right?
Very nice.
So let's try to drop some fibs. I don't know how it's going to work.
Powell Industries. I'm curious what they do now. They're a printer company. No, I'm just
All
kidding.
right, then maybe use this 261. I don't know. You use the pivot lows here, right? Because when you zoom in, sure, you got the fib coming in around what 155 and 75, but it's really if this short-term top executes here, and that's lower probability, but if it does, you probably don't want to be involved in this one anymore, right?
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you think that's a head and shoulders there.
I wouldn't call it one. Um, these patterns tend to fail. It's been a really strong leg higher. Yeah, momentum's rolling over a little bit. You don't want to. You're playing with fire kind of here because we went so
Yeah.
vertical. So
I mean, it's
below,
at the target, right? Like what else could you kind of ask for in the short term?
yeah, and fast too. So below, I don't know, 147. I don't think you can own it, but if it holds there, why wouldn't this beautiful little uptrend continue? Just to show what a leader it's been. This is Powell relative to the broader market. Looks like the absolute trend.
Hmm.
I mean, just what a leader this has been. You could draw a base on a relative basis too. And look, I mean, we talk about polarity, and typically we're talking about the absolute price chart when we talk about polarity. Look at the way this one exploded. It's a breakaway gap on relative terms too, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
so the same principles apply. This one checks a lot of boxes for me. So I think you want to treat it as innocent until proven guilty. It's those pivot lows from a short-term tactical perspective.
I like it. I like it. Let's move on to Airbnb.
Yeah, this one's already charted out because it's been on my mind. I'm not long. It just hasn't done enough to deserve a position. Maybe it gets there. I like the company,
Oh yeah.
right? I think this one has some real staying power. It's a American consumer economy stock, which long term tend to be some of the best and most consistent outperformers. I think this is it. The 62% retracement. This is why we do this, right? The base is already in. You could draw this in a number of ways. I flipped it to a weekly, but I think, you got the base
And
breakout a while ago.
that
Uh,
looked like a really important level there. You got the IPO lows there and
absolutely.
38.2.
So that 134, 135 levels, what Patrick's talking about. I would consider that the base breakout level, but we're long gone from there. So now either strength through 167, which also the reason that makes even more sense, right, is because that's also if you were to draw a little coil here or some sort of little flag, right?
Yeah.
So basically we're treating this little consolidation pattern here, right, as a new breakout, right, into a little coil. And the 62%, that 167, is the upside resolution. So I really like the setup here on strength through 167. If you don't get it, though, zooming out, you have this little these pivot highs from last summer. 155 on weakness works too.
I like that a lot actually. It looked, it didn't look like it was a great short-term setup, but you definitely found something nice in there. Let's move on to LMB, Limback Holdings.
A little small. Mm,
Yeah. No, we try to keep it to at least a billion in market cap. So let's go ahead and skip that one because we have a ton to get to here. Any thoughts on RVMD? Buy a breakout above 35. What's the target if you bought at 35?
what's it?
Baker Bros increased their holdings 91% according to Nasdaq filing for quarter end
Ticker?
December. RVMD. Yeah, it's 5 billion.
You're thinking the right way in terms of biotech investing. Following Baker Bros is probably one of the best uses of time for any biotech investor.
I know you're a fan of Baker Bros. Are they specifically known to do well with biotech?
They only do biotech.
Okay, wow.
These guys are they're true experts, right? They're not just hedge fund managers. So biotech, life sciences, all that stuff. They are the standard, the best of the best. Always been that way. The track record is just so good, it's insane. And biotech investing is hard.
Oh yeah.
So have a company like that, you know the problem with 13Fs a lot of times, these long short hedge funds, they're in something, they're out of something a week later. Like the 13Fs literally, not only do they not help you, they could just mislead you.
Yeah.
You end up being the buyer, right? And
The
the
exit liquidity, yeah.
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 So with Baker Bros, though, as with anybody who you would want to spend time looking at 13F filings for, Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, long term, they build massive positions in these biotech, sometimes, very small ones. I think this is like 5 billion, but they'll go wait, they'll wade into the microcap space too. They build monster positions. They hold them for years and years and years. For example, they just closed one. Pfizer just bought Seattle Genetics. They had it for over
Yeah.
10 years,
Yeah.
more than a decade. So you can pay attention to the filings because they didn't just turn around and sell it. That's not what they do. So it's particularly excellent information for the biotech space. If we're above 34, the Revolution Medicines base is complete. Path of least resistance is higher. And the stop here, or your target here, would be about 57.50.
All-time highs.
Yeah.
I like it. And, we talked about kind of the importance of getting above those IPO prices, and this one checks that box, right?
And this one's above any important VWAP level too.
I love how you don't even have to check. You just know. You can just kind of eyeball that.
We joke, like, if you need a moving average on your chart, it's probably not a chart you want to be buying.
Right.
You eventually learn what these things are going to look like if you look at enough charts.
So let's move on to a hot one. You ready for this one? MSTR. I recently put on an MSTR short, plan to cover around 817. The convertible arbitrage. Oh, this is from Wavy. The convertible arbitrage that has been pumping the stock is unwinding, and Michael Saylor has been dumping shares every day recently. What's been going on with that? Isn't he issuing to buy more Bitcoin, basically?
Yeah, I guess Wavy's saying he's selling shares personally. Of course he is. He owns so many shares. And how much of your net worth can you have tied up in just Bitcoin, right? That's all MicroStrategy.
I don't know. We're talking about Michael Saylor here.
Right.
If there's one person.
He's a purist. I mean, listen, Wavy, I love you, but it would be a bad lesson to everybody else to entertain this. This is how people blow up accounts. You're trying to short one of the strongest, most persistent uptrends this entire bull market. MicroStrategy has literally been, besides maybe something like Super Micro, MicroStrategy has been the best performer in the entire stock market. Yeah, maybe it works. Maybe there's some sort of crazy blow off top exhaustive sort of move here, right? I can see what you see, but
Yeah, he's looking to play it down to 817. Does it even make sense to do this with puts? Like I'd imagine implied volatility is just so wacky right now that
listen, it would make a lot more sense. I think, because at least with puts, you know how much you can afford. That's your cost basis, and if you lose it all, okay. But to short this here, that's a tough one, man. I don't know. Every dip in this stock has been bought all cycle long, and it seems like so far this year, things just continue to improve with crypto. You've already seen some corrective action beneath the surface. Like I've been talking today about how some of these altcoins, you missed it on Spaces. Some of these altcoins, the drawdown's not looking good, but this is a bull market. You buy dips, you don't sell them. So you would be selling a dip here in a bull market for the whole space with the, best, most trusted, top performing vehicle. Crazy. I think crazy.
I think that's you're telling it how it is.
Not for me. No
You
way.
ready to move on? We got one more and then we can get to the chat. So be sure to drop them in there. But let's do ICLR next.
Yep. Icon place, big old base here. We like this one. You got the base into the coil. Yeah, all day. Beautiful. So
Yeah, that's a really nice one.
clean, textbook. All right, so the reversal's in, right? Trend reversal's in, reclaimed new highs, and now you got a little continuation here. I think you probably will probably want to end up using the first fib as a target, but we're going to buy the bull flag breakout. So now we know our target for the entry. We got the breakout. We got a decisive breakout. Just buy this resolution.
Man, you love those bull flags. You're good at spotting them.
The best pattern. So 344 is your confirmation. If you're trying to jump it, you use the trend line of the VWAP.
I like it. All right, you ready to get to the chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to start with Jason here. He says Ian talked about PALL Palladium yesterday. Any thoughts on it?
Commodities, right? It's that theme. I would assume that Palladium eventually starts working, but you're betting on the laggards to play catch up rather than the leaders to keep working, right? And we talk about how that can be, that's usually the toughest decision in any bull market, right? Do I bet on mean reversion or some sort of catch up in the worst ones, or do I bet on the best ones just to keep winning?
Right.
And sometimes doing the latter is a lot harder to do than it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you, based on human psychology, most people
We'll
do the
stick with the winners.
no, most people want to play catch up.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's a bargain.
It's FOMO. They think they missed it. They don't want to, chase all that stuff. So Palladium, you're not chasing, but you are
No, you're definitely not chasing Palladium.
not chasing anything here. But look, the more you zoom out on this chart, it is a clean level. Again, do I want to overthink this level? No, because this is simply an ETF that tracks an underlying which doesn't look this clean. But this would be it, right? So call it 90 in Palladium.
Man, I was about to ask you if you had a log scale on there. That's how
Yeah,
that's how sharp this thing's falling.
If you have a long enough time frame against 90 and just hold it, be patient. But I would think, like most things, this doesn't just stop and reverse and do a V here, but this probably takes some time, builds out some sort of rounding bottom, trend reversal pattern, and then we eventually get some sort of a move back up the right-hand side of some sort of a reversal pattern.
I see. So kind of a slow turning process. So we're getting quite a lot of questions about Broadcom here, AVGO.
Yeah, because it's getting slaughtered. These semiconductors have really come off. We talked about, let's go back, this on the morning show like 2 weeks ago. Some people were saying I was crazy for overthinking one day's move. Do you remember this? We had this nasty bearish engulfing candle.
Ooh.
This was not last Friday, but the Friday before.
Oh, wow.
And while you never want to overthink one day's price action, candles like that are how bad things start, right? And then we got
that was the day NVIDIA reversed and had that bearish engulfing too, right?
This was that candle, right? So NVIDIA's held in a lot better than the index itself. But we're about to talk about Avago. It's the same thing here. So semiconductors as a group, not good. This is equal weight S&P 500 semis, right? So kind of back in the box here. 100% follow through, confirming this nasty bearish engulfing. Now see where we go from here. You want to start, probably drawing some sort of trend lines like this. See if this holds. But semiconductors, you do want to be careful with right here, right now. NVIDIA is having a hype party at their conference this week, and that can't get them going even. They're kind of selling the news. So Broadcom has been as good as anything.
I like how you described that, a little hype party. It's exactly what it feels like, right?
It is. You want to, depending on your time frame, I think you keep this one pretty tight. Right? You got a pivot low from January and another one from February, from 1175 to 1200. Why, if you have nice gains in this, there are other opportunities everywhere we look these days. Pay yourself when the chart starts to look like this. And then again, we've seen it a million times. We had some sort of toppy thing going on here last year, right? Remember this, Pat? Which ended up being a great buying opportunity.
Yes, the failed top that kicked it all off.
Right? That thing went
Let
crazy.
me ask you this. Let's a little exercise here. So let's say you've been long Nvidia since that move, right? You've stayed this whole time. What do you do now? What would you do now? Would you sell and take profits and rotate into something else? And if so, what are you rotating into?
Not quite yet with Nvidia. With Broadcom, this 1175 to 1200 zone below there, I don't want it, at least over the short or probably intermediate time frame. Long term, I wouldn't touch something like this. Nvidia, Pat, to answer your question, is this really so bad? Look at what this thing has done.
That's the thing. It had that bearish engulfing candle. Everyone was sure it was over, and we haven't really died yet. It's just been kind of just consolidating.
So this year, we're up almost 100% still. Just look at this run.
Just this year. And that's after it was the best performing stock last year. I think it did like 200, over 250%.
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, even if this was correcting more and was in more of a drawdown, I would say, no, you can't go selling this here. There's really no good reason from a technical perspective to get out of NVIDIA right now. You're getting deterioration in the semiconductor space more than you're getting deterioration in NVIDIA specifically.
Do you see a scenario where the rest of the space would correct hard and NVIDIA just holds up, or vice versa, where NVIDIA corrects hard and semis aren't too
Yeah,
affected?
yeah, they're different things now, but like we're already seeing it. So semiconductors down about 10% just since that nasty candle.
There's your correction.
Yeah, so you got it, right? And then meanwhile, so this is even more of a reason to like Nvidia. Meanwhile, look at Nvidia. This is just coil.
Yeah, that's a very, very healthy coil so far. I mean, he hasn't even breached the lows of that pattern there.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that Nvidia looks like it wants to keep going.
I like it. So are we done with
Yeah.
Broadcom there?
hmm
So let's move on to Wes. This one's from Jason. Wes uh looking to get long during this energy bull cycle. Chart looks like it's consolidating before the next big move. Would expect that
Western
upside be
midstream.
pushing towards 50.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So I like it. This is my pattern. First of all, well, this is Pat's pattern.
Yeah,
Pat's
okay. All right, I'll take that.
sometimes Pat, when I'm sitting in my office drawing triangle patterns, I think of you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll thank you next time I draw a bull flag. How's that?
That'd be nice. So this is my pattern. Tight, very tight. Gotta love it.
Oh, yeah.
Number of ways you could do this. Looks like it's just about ready to go. Let's say 35. 35 is all you need for confirmation. Oh, yeah. And then just a simple measurement exercise. Let's just take the flag pole. This is how you do that. It's clean 25%, $7. And then let's project that onto the breakout level. Well, I like to do points and not percent. So 42. 42 is your target, 35 is your entry.
Do you think it gets all the way to 50? It sounded like that's what he was looking for, pushing towards the 50 level.
I was just about to go there. So, if you have a longer time frame, I know that's not much. Also, it's a midstream operator, so not like the highest beta, juiciest kind of stock, but let's see if we get some sort of fib. I think eventually during this energy cycle, this thing just keeps climbing the base. I think it goes back to these old all-time highs because the reversal's in.
Do you have
And
any idea on why those MLPs just kind of based just like that just for the last like year?
well,
Just really, really tight consolidation.
well, here's energy,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
right? So maybe it's the range isn't as wide,
But
but
it's the
it's
same
still a
action.
range. All you're seeing
Yeah.
is this is just a lower volatility group. If you look at the MLPs, or what was it, Wes?
Yeah.
They're just a lower volatility group, so the range is tighter.
No, that's a great point.
I think with this, if you have the long enough investment time frame, you take it back to the old all-time highs. It's, the bull market for energy seems to be alive and well and heating back up. So 66 in this one, by the time the cycle's over, for sure.
I like it. I like it. Let's do a MongoDB from
Yeah.
Donovan here.
Given a lot back recently. Yeah, it's just a hot mess. So a lot we could say about this one. You know, from left to right on the chart, reversal was in. It's still in, right? Just been messy. But the primary trend turned last year. And then it's been a really, really tough go since. Right?
Oof.
This one
Ugly.
tried to go, and this is, makes this mess even worse. That
Like, do you even do anything with this until it reclaims that or
you need to back at the upper bounds here, like 445, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I wouldn't even in something like this now at this point, right? You could draw some sort of a base breakout level here. I wouldn't even want to buy weakness in something like this at this point, right? Much rather buy strength. If I were bullish the name, I would really not love the fact that we tried to go, looked like we had the breakout, and then just failed miserably. Knocked right back into this range, and look at the reaction, like lower, straight to the lower bounds. Wouldn't be shocked at all if this broke, and this got even messier. Oversold for the first time since 2022. There's too many stocks going in the other direction right now. So this would be a do not touch for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, kind of hard to get yourself to be going long on a stock that just hit oversold in a bull market like this, right?
Yeah, no, like this is the kind of, and this setup just reminded me of this one. This is one where also I'm like, the reversal's in, but hasn't done much. This, at least you could buy this weakness in, right? This is Datadog, similar space. I think it's a peer, MongoDB. You could buy weakness back towards this breakout level, right? But MongoDB, it's just the downside momentum is a little bit too much here for me to kind of want to step in. You need to see some sort of evidence of bottoming and then strength back in the opposite direction. There's some others, I would say Cloudflare too. I'm trying to think of cloud names like MongoDB.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of those like that.
Yeah, where the base is in, but hasn't done much since. You could say that about something like Palantir, right? So, all right, what's next? Or else I'm
Let's
gonna keep going, talking my bull.
let's move on to COP.
Cameco, I like this one. I bought some energy today. I've been dabbling.
You know, it's funny. I just pulled up my Conoco chart and I got a head and shoulders top on this thing, which is interesting because it looks like it's nothing like that. And what is the most bullish pattern? Failed
Uh,
head and tops.
Fail tops, the
There you go.
non-tops,
But you
tops
see
that
what I'm talking about, right? Boom, boom, boom. The head and shoulders.
you have it drawn here.
Yeah. Yep. Boom, boom, and then
The way I would look at Conoco right now, I would zoom in, right? What we're seeing is, and this is not one of the cleaner ranges. I don't love it from that perspective. Like the clean ones, because I know where I'm in, I know where I'm out. I can build a nice trade plan. This one's messy and wide, right? So for Conoco, I think you drill way in. You don't necessarily want to avoid it just because it's not so clean because There is some relative strength here from Conoco and liquidity. I love the names that I could trade options in. Conoco is one of those. I think you get in here, you got a pivot high here. I don't know what your time frame is, but we do have levels. So there you go, getting a little breakout above the year-to-date highs here today. So 120 could be an entry. If you're short term, you got something here just like 6 points higher. That's not much of a trade. I think you would really want to go to the upper bounds of this range, which would be the 2022 highs.
I
So
like it.
137, right? That's that. And let me just illustrate what I mean. Relative trend for Conoco. I mean, just for a long time now, this is Conoco relative to energy, XLE. It's one of the biggest names, right? I think.
Yeah.
Just steadily up and to the right. So this is always kind of a vehicle or a name that when I'm looking for exposure to energy, Conoco is usually on my mind as a good alternative or good option.
Let's move on to one. I know a lot of people are watching this one this week, and just in general. Tesla, when to long, when to short. And this thing's down 60% from its highs. Like that's astounding.
Can you just do nothing, right? Like we were just talking about, there's so many options. You don't have to trade things that are just total messes. Talk about a monster range. Really nothing that interests me in this chart for as long as it's in this box.
Mhm. That's
It's
very
just,
well said.
how would you even draw this, Pat?
It's a mess. It's a
Like,
mess.
I don't even, so when there's a chart where I don't even know where to put lines or where the support or where the resistance is, I don't see any really clear polarity here. I don't even see trend lines that I could draw. And I don't even like drawing trend lines. If I look at momentum, I'll bet it's overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold. Yeah, this is just, you're not helping yourself. Investing, trading, it's hard enough. Patterns like this just make it harder.
Yeah. Let's check out Uber.
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 Yeah, that's great. Look at how I had it marked up, Pat.
Oh
This
man.
this is what we're looking
Oh,
for here.
isn't that heartbreaking when you get a bull flag that resolves lower?
Yeah, but it's okay. Like this one's been so good.
And that's the thing, right? It could check back to the breakout level, which it hasn't done yet, and that would be completely normal. The breakout's still intact, and you get what, like a 20% correction?
Dude, if you
You
get
know,
this
totally resets the cycle. Sentiment is ready to go
100%,
again.
100%. Like we were buying here off of this range in this scoop. We put a great trade on Uber into the end of the year, right? Buying this weakness. I think we get something similar. This throws back to those 2021 highs, Pat, in the low 60s. We had a little consolidation, a little coil there back in December. That would be a gift. Look, you got the VWAP coming in, the VWAP from the October low. We're already heading in that direction, right? Like Pat talks about, short-term continuation pattern failure. I think we've probably, if this is going to be a valid pattern, this gap here gets filled like this week, like tomorrow. You should see some downside follow through. If that starts happening, you could probably buy this one in the low 60s.
I like it. And I like that you're not panicking. You almost want to see the correction here. And I've been thinking about this one this week because of SMCI being added to the S&P. And I remember when Uber got added to the S&P, what was it, end of last year?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, is this too easy of a trade here? Here it's breaking out of a beautiful base and it's being added to the S&P. Like that's a home run right there. That's a gift. And it actually worked pretty well. I was surprised to see that.
Uber was a hard trade last year in Q4. That's Sean's thing, hard trades. It just means like you said, you almost think, no, that sounds too easy, must be a trap, or it's already extended, right? Look at this overbought streak. So this
I like that concept a lot, the hard trade, because
hard
sometimes the
trade,
hardest trades are the best, right?
100%. All right,
Oh
friends.
man.
One more, last one.
Oh, one more. Let's do one more stock, and then somebody asked about a meme coin, so I want to get your thoughts, your favorite meme coin, or your favorite alt at the moment. But let me try to find one that we haven't hit on. You want to do Biotech XBI? Keeping it kind of broad.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
You disappoint me, Biotech.
Back in the penalty box, as you say.
Yeah. Look,
Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is that? What's that head and shoulders going on down there? I mean,
I
that's
don't
like
know what happened here. I was clearly having fun, bored. Sometimes I get on the phone, I'm like on a call that's boring me.
I do the same thing.
Just draw
Start
crazy.
drawing. Yeah.
It's like when your teacher's teaching about something you're not listening to, you're like in middle school and you're doodling.
Yep.
Remember doodling? Don't
Yep.
doodle. It's chart doodling.
I find the same thing.
Yeah, we have fun. So XBI, this is equal weight. And to me, it's equal weight biotech. We want to see charts like this break out here. Let's just flip it to a line. We want to see charts like this, complete trend reversals, which I think was happening here around 95, right? And it looked like we were very much on our way, right? Had what seemed to be a clean breakout into a nice little coil. That coil failed, breaking lower here. You can't own it. If you're back in the box, you absolutely can't own it, right? So 95, I think, is that level. We're trading around 94 and change today. You can 100% buy strength back
Would
out.
you, let me ask you this, would you short it here? And do you think
No,
that this is
no,
like, is this the end for like, is this recoverable? Yeah, like, is
no.
this?
I wouldn't short it here. It's still a bull market. We're seeing more and more patterns like this, complete reverse or trends reverse to the upside, talking about things like materials making, new all-time highs. Financials are looking really good. Breadth is expanding to other groups as it rotates out of technology. The bases that aren't completing yet, something like this or ARC, small caps still, right? The bases that haven't completed yet, we don't want to think, oh, they're going to fail. Let's short them back to the lower bounds of the range. No, we're just thinking, all right, so these groups are still opportunity cost, still relative weakness. They probably complete eventually, and then we want to be interested in them and looking there for long opportunities, but they're just not ready yet, right? So some of these bases, we've seen it this whole cycle. Some are taking longer than others. Biotech seems like it's going to take even longer than it already has.
So I got two more questions, and I promise we'll let you go. You mentioned materials. What do you have a specific name that you got for us?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I bought yesterday. Bought this.
Reliance. It's a steel company, right?
Yeah, this is my pattern. Are you surprised?
It's
I mean, this is as good as it gets.
your bread and butter right there.
Look at this breakaway gap.
I like what you do there with drawing the AVWAP on the bull flag too,
Hell
as
yeah.
kind of a confirmation or a way to kind of jump the gun.
I want like every little sign of confirmation along the way that I can get. One thing I find myself doing more and more and more, as I keep trading and have more and more years of experience, is scaling in. Right?
Yeah,
I prefer to scale in.
and scaling out too. Yeah,
Yeah, really. Particularly, especially with the options. So with something like this, I got into it yesterday just as it looked like it was going right above the VWAP, kind of pushing on this trend line. And I have, I guess, two areas of confirmation. I have this trend line again, still here that I could use, and then the highs, right, which just conveniently enough line up with the 161, but this high is more important to me. So like 333. So plan to own more of it. But materials, look, there's a lot of stuff. We've been talking about precious metals. I think gold and silver miners will offer more, better opportunities in the future. Still not too much there. So
yeah.
no,
They're still just, man, they just can't get going.
not personally long any of those. Um, Copper. I mean, copper had nobody's talking about how good of a week last week was for copper. Best day in over
Yeah,
a year, best week in over a year. Southern Copper Co., which is the bellwether, the industry leader, the largest copper company in the world, just blasting to new all-time highs. Best week since like, I don't know, like 10 years or something. So
you
copper,
ready to buy Freeport yet? Or are you waiting?
Freeport's a freaking slop job. I mean, talk about a mess. But look at this thing, right? So again, back to that theme of clean charts. I guess you could buy. So here's the problem with this. Like it looks like there's a nice range here, right? That you could trade, whether you
Mhm.
want to use the diagonal or the horizontal, but then like trade it to where? So,
Right.
okay, I'm going to buy that breakout just to run into more overhead supply here, like 6 points higher. Like contrast this with something like Southern Copper. This is
Yeah.
the
Ooh,
art I'm
very
buying,
nice. Very
right?
nice.
Like I
Yeah.
missed this. I was in it last year and it was just taking too long, got stopped out. So I missed this, but this is the kind of breakout that I want to be in. Nucor recently got into, still in it.
Nice.
Slow, hasn't really worked great yet. But that's the kind of chart I want to be buying. Steel Dynamics is now one of the charts I want to be buying, right? Freeport, I think it will be
I
eventually.
like that. I like that Steel Dynamics chart a lot.
Yeah, STLD looks good. So yeah, go look beneath the surface. You could use the XLB components. I would use the broader materials sector because there's a lot of interesting stuff in the small and mid cap world there. I
And what
think
are you looking at there? What's is that? Is there like a mid cap materials ETF you're looking at?
no, there's not one.
Okay.
You could use PSCM for the smalls, but just go to the S&P 1500
You know
and
what the
pull.
best part about looking in like materials or industrials? You're finding so many names that you've never heard of. Nobody's talking about them really. It's not the Teslas and the Amazons of the
That's
world.
right.
So I
These are
like
the
those.
sexy stocks, and at least from a broad sector perspective, probably maybe outside of energy, but it's similar. They are the stocks or the group of stocks with the worst or most negative sentiment around them,
Yeah. Yep. I would agree.
hands down.
And then they start flying and everybody wants them. But let's end with crypto here. Somebody asked about AVAX, but any meme coin you want to do right now? Any alt?
I don't think I own any meme. I have a little bit of Doge just for fun, but like it's literally not even material
Are
to
there
me.
official terms on what is a meme coin and what's just like a normal altcoin?
Like I don't understand it. I'm not one like I'm not in Discord rooms and stuff and like into all the crazy crypto stuff. I do enjoy like a good crypto party in Miami every now and then. Enjoy it a lot, Pat knows. Um, but like I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not into the whole culture.
Yeah.
I golf in my spare time. I don't.
I was reading an article. It was from Coinbase. It was like one of their education pieces, and they were trying to educate people on like what is a meme coin and what is not and all that. And I remember thinking, man, I feel bad for whoever had to write this article. Like you have to define these terms that like nobody really knows what the heck they are.
But good for them and good for everybody who's doing it. The good guys are spending a lot of time and energy educating with stuff like that. Like you said, Coinbase. Like, not that I give a like literal shit. When I'm on my Coinbase app, which I am all the time, and I'm like checking my position, and you can pull up like the little chart. You turn your phone and like look at the chart, right? It'll have like a description, and every now and then, like I fall into the trap of like reading like four
Oh
paragraphs,
no.
like what like Algorand does. And when I'm done reading it, pretty much every time it's like, oh, it's a second generation, fifth layer protocol. This I'm like, I don't
Because you know what that means, right?
what I just read. That was an absolute waste of a minute of my life. So I tend to not do that. But look, the story with Avalanche is it's a yes for sure. This one looks great. The reversal is in. You had this little multi-month consolidation here, which recently resolved higher. If I overlaid this with Solana, it would look so similar, and that's exactly what you want, right?
I think the most important
So
thing here is that it's reclaiming those call it the ICO lows, you know, like with that shelf of support back from 2021.
is that the ICO though?
Is it?
No, no.
Okay.
No, but
Okay.
there is some sort of level there, Pat. You're not wrong, right?
Interesting.
You got something
So
going on there, right?
what were you looking at it before? You were looking at it versus USD?
Yeah. When you do the tether with add the T, you get more
Hmm.
data sometimes, or it's just trading view data stuff. I don't understand.
Oh, interesting.
But for something like this, right? If you have a long enough time frame, and you don't need it to be super long at this point, because you need what, another double from here? Yeah, you're not asking much. If you're playing out the whole cycle in crypto, you want new all-time highs in something like this,
Hmm.
right? I don't think you really want to overthink it. The relative strength over the short term really stands out in Avalanche here. Like, look at this straight line higher for the last week and a half now,
Wow.
just screaming higher relative to Bitcoin. And look, it's been leading since, off the Q4 lows from last year, just monster relative strength. So I think that continues. But you do want to see the relative strength line continue higher as well.
I like it. I like it.
How about you?
Any last thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are how many what cryptos are you buying right now? We asked everybody on Spaces today.
So I actually did pick up some Solana the other day, and
Yeah.
right now it's mostly just the big ones. Got some Bitcoin, have some Ethereum,
Yeah.
and add some Solana. But other than that, yeah, I haven't really ventured into the smaller ones. I like that injective a lot, but I didn't end up pulling the trigger on that.
The Sui looks good today. The Aptos has my attenzione. Pat, you're a blue chip guy. I
Aptos.
like it.
I'm a blue chip crypto guy, I guess.
Listen, the blue chips, whether it's Bitcoin, pretty much the whole cycle, or Ethereum lately, or Solana for most of the cycle, they're your leaders. So that's been the playbook. Continues to work.
But at the end of the day, I really just defer to the Bitcoin chart. If I'm bullish on that, then I'll be comfortable holding the smaller guys. But if I'm not, that's when I get uncomfortable. So what do you think of that Bitcoin chart right now? Do you think this is just a classic retest, or do you think we should be worried about a failed breakout here? How are you kind of thinking about that?
I think you got to be patient. I mean, look at what this thing has done.
You telling me to let him dance?
What is the market cap here? $1.3 trillion market cap, right? So that's like, what, Google? It's a
Yeah.
monster market cap. It's come a really, really long way. Just off of the January lows, what, 40 to I guess what, 65 here today, like more than 50%. Right at those prior cycle highs. It's going to probably take some time to digest that overhead supply.
But we
And
saw that with the major indices too, right? I mean, when S&P got back to the old
yeah,
highs and things like that, they built a handle before they ultimately really went.
Bitcoin could pull back a good amount. It could eventually blast right through. It's already digesting. It's already been consolidating for a while, right? You got the false start, the little shake lower. I think it's acting, in a pretty resilient manner. When you look beneath the surface, there's some serious drawdowns. Nothing crazy, but there are some real drawdowns in some of the altcoins. Bitcoin holding up, far better. I think it eventually gets it done. What I wouldn't want to see is breadth really fall apart beneath the surface with Bitcoin up here. Then I would start to think, ooh, I don't know. But the biggest point about something like this is if this was going to be a failed breakout, or if it is
Mhm.
going to be a failed breakout, we're probably moving fast. We're moving lower fast today, tomorrow, the next day. Like that's happening right now, right?
Right. You don't get this kind of like what we have gotten where you see people coming in trying to buy the dip. Even
Right.
today, right? Like you're seeing it off the lows a decent amount.
If we're eventually marking this chart up like this and calling this a failed breakout for Bitcoin, in order for that to be the case, technically, you need downside follow through and you need it now, right? So this gets a lot worse this week, just in the coming days. Otherwise, the other option is it just stays resilient here, stays pretty tight up against this level, and then eventually gets it done. I think that's, much higher likelihood outcome.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I think we hit it all.
That's it, man. So
I,
you're on the charts on Thursday.
all
Looking
right.
forward to it.
I'm excited for it as always.
All right, buddy. I will see you then. Thank you, everybody, for joining. As always, if we missed your request today, just bring it on back on Thursday. We will be here same time, same place with the next edition of Chart Request Live, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. In the meantime, join us on the morning show every morning. Myself, JC, Spencer Israel, Patrick drops in, Sean drops in. It's the best morning show in finance. So would love
There
to see
is.
you all there.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.